Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
AFI flight training, this is Priyanka. Alright, so we're AFI. Do you guys live around here?
No, we live in Victorville.
In where?
Victorville.
Oh, okay. So, well, this is Fullerton Airport, obviously. And AFI has been here for about 40 or 45 years. Bill Sr. started it back in the 70s. Family run and operated. We're also Cessna Pilot Center. Oh, there you go. 1967, that's when we were established. Yeah, we've trained a lot of pilots. Some have gone on to the airlines, some are flying jets, some are corporate pilots. And even our instructors here, all of them learned at AFI. They started just like you. They took this first flight lesson and then continued on through the training, through their private instrument commercial, and then their CFI. So this is Fullerton Tower. This is where Matt's going to make his calls to get clearance to get on the taxiway and runway, things like that. It's a small general aviation airport, so what that means is we don't have any commercial traffic. So we don't have the big Boeings or the airlines flying in because our runway's too small. And that's what makes it a great flight training airport, because since it is mostly small airplanes taking off, you won't have to wait, 20, 30 minutes for an airline to fly or a C-17 to land and take off. So you can get in and out really quick. And it really saves on the cost, so you're not sitting in the airplane, renting it and not going anywhere. It's also tower controlled. So like I was saying earlier, you'll need a clearance to take off, to taxi, and then for landing and things like that. So this is the airport from the sky. It's pretty clear out there. It might be a little bit hazy over the water where Matt will probably take you. But a fun game to play is to see if you can find the airport before Matt does. So when you're up there, if you haven't been up before, you'll notice that it's kind of hard to differentiate things because things just look like either roads or fields. So, and Fullerton has a very small runway, so it's already tough enough to find it. But if you can find it before Matt, then maybe you're a pilot in the making. So this is, did you see our website? Yeah. So that's Bill Sr. and that's Bill Jr. Those are the bosses here. Bill Sr. is the one who started back in '67. And this is also where we put up all of our, basically our ground school information, and also people who soloed or who've gotten their certificates. So we recently had a solo on a Sunday. So yeah, as when you solo or if any big milestone comes up, we'll make sure everyone knows and is in support of you. So let's talk about the planes we have here. We have 172s and 152s. So you've never been flying before?
I have.
Oh, you have? Okay, what kind of plane was it?
I know it was a Cessna. It looked kind of like that.
Okay. So
The 172, I think.
172?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, our 172s here are 2005 models. They're 2005 SPs. So they're pretty new, very new technology. The one to the left, that's the NAV2, and then the one to the right is the NAV3. So as you can see, this is the more advanced one because it's all digital. All of these instruments are put on this one screen here. So it just makes flying a lot easier because you're not looking from instrument to instrument to instrument. You just have everything right there in one place. And then you have a big GPS screen right here. In NAV2, you have a GPS too. It's just a smaller screen. So that's how that looks. And NAV3, if you learn how to fly it, it makes flying so easy. All you have to do, you're basically like an airline pilot. You just click some buttons and, you just sit there. So it makes it a lot easier. But the NAV2, if you were to do your flight training, I would recommend to learn in the NAV2, because if you know how to fly this airplane, then you'll know how to fly any plane, because most airplanes have this. So this is our online course material. It's kind of the ground school, so the theory behind flying. That's how it's broken down. You have 4 sections. And then this is how it looks. It's broken down even more. And then this is how one of the slides looks. So you have the video presentation here. Let's see. Yeah. So the cool thing about this is that you have video presentations for things like takeoffs and landings and even things like staying on center line. So it's really nice to have this because once they explain it in the text, you can sort of get an idea, but once you actually see it on a video, that's when you really get it. You know, you can kind of see what the pilot is doing with the controls, with the rudders. So it just makes it very visual and easy to see. And we're also an FAA-approved flight school, and we have FAA-approved simulators. So what that means, FAA-approved, is that we have this big book of rules. It's called the FAR-AIM, and it's broken down into different sections. We're Part 141. So we operate under stricter standards for training our students. So we have a set syllabus, we have stage checks, we have, it's basically like going to like a 4-year university, because it's very rigid, very, very, not stern, it's just the rules are very, they're upheld to make sure you're safe and good pilot. And then our FAA-approved simulators are a really great tool that we have, because it really cuts down on the cost of renting the airplanes. So the simulators rent for $40 an hour for the analog with the round dials, and then $75 for the G1000 and F3, which is the screens. So we'll take a look at those too. And then this right here, we're an FAA Written Center, and CATS is the agency that gives us the test. So one of the requirements, well, let's quickly talk about the requirements for getting a license. So these are the absolute bare minimum requirements you need. 40 hours of flight training. You need to pass a 60-question test. You need to get a 3rd class medical. And then you have all these different requirements hours-wise which you need to fulfill. So you'll have to do 2 solo cross countries, a night flight, and that's all in our syllabus. So the written test you can take right here, actually on one of these computers. 60 questions all online. It's and we have so many resources for you to use, and maybe 5% fail. The failure rate is very, very small, because you have so many resources available for you to take it. So the next slide is going to be a video. It's going to kind of show you what you'll be doing in the plane. So pay attention so you kind of know what's happening and what Matt's doing. And then I'll meet you back here. I'm going to get the sim all set up and everything, so we can show that to you.
Let's start off by taking a look at the airplane you'll be flying. The fuselage is the body of the airplane, and this is where everything is attached. It's also where you put everyone and their luggage. And because it's enclosed, you don't have to worry about your hair looking like it was hit by a sonic boom. Now the propeller pulls the airplane through the air. In fact, in the early days of aviation, propellers were called air screws because of the way they moved through the air, kind of like a screw into wood. The wings, a very important part of the aircraft, I might add. The wings support the airplane in the air. And perhaps the most important thing about the wings is to make sure that you have 2 of them on every flight, 1 on each side of the airplane. And finally, the tail. Or, if you really want to impress the folks around the airport, don't call it a tail. Call it the empennage. That way you'll look like you'll have 25,000 hours of flying time and 6 lunar landings under your belt. The tail, or the empennage, is located in the back part of the fuselage. And this is where the vertical stabilizer and the rudder and the horizontal stabilizer and elevator connect to the fuselage. Now let's take a look at the parts on the wing and tail that move. Those parts that let you control the airplane in flight. First is the elevator. It is attached to the horizontal stabilizer at the tail and goes up and down when you move the control wheel back and forth. Now the elevator controls the nose up or nose down position or attitude of the airplane. Moving the nose up or down is called pitching. And if you want to pitch the airplane so that the nose will go up, you pull back on the control wheel. This raises the elevator into the wind. The up elevator creates an aerodynamic force which moves the tail of the airplane down and the nose up. To pitch the nose back down again, you would move the control wheel forward. This lowers the elevator into the wind and raises the tail. And when the tail goes up, the nose goes down. The ailerons are those movable surfaces near each wingtip. They are also controlled by the control wheel in the cockpit. Now, when you move the control wheel left and right, it alternately moves the ailerons up and down. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh no, I broke the airplane. But no, that's not the case. Really, that's how the airplane was designed. The ailerons are what you use to make the airplane roll into or out of a bank. When you rotate the control wheel to the left aileron moves up and the right aileron moves down. This raises the right wing and lowers the left wing and rolls the airplane into a bank to the left. Now, when you rotate the wheel to the right aileron moves up and the left aileron moves down. This rolls the airplane into a bank to the right. When you bank the airplane, you tilt some of the lift to the side. And it's that sideways lift that makes the airplane turn. So now you know that putting an airplane into a bank makes a turn. And you know that you can use ailerons to put the airplane into a bank. So, what do you use the rudder for? You use the rudder to keep the nose from yawing in the wrong direction when you stick an aileron down into the wind to bank the airplane. Think about what happens when you stick your hand out of your car window. Two things can happen. One, you can get a ticket. More specifically, when you rotate your hand so the palm is at a small angle to the wind, the same force that moves your hand up also moves it back. When an aileron is deflected downward into the wind, the same force that moves the wing up also moves it back, just like your hand. You can use rudder to keep the wing with the down aileron from moving back. The rudder pedals on the floor move the rudder to the left and right. Now, when you step on the left rudder pedal, the rudder moves to the left, and so does the nose of the airplane. This is referred to as yawing the nose to the left. Stepping on the right rudder pedal deflects the rudder to the right and yaws the nose of the airplane to the right. Something that most people do not think of as a flight control is the power. It's controlled by the throttle on the lower part of the instrument panel. To increase the power, push the throttle in. You will hear the engine RPM increase, and you can even see it on the tachometer. Now this makes the airplane go faster or climb. Pull the throttle back to decrease the power and RPM. Now you know how the controls of an airplane work. The real trick is making the airplane do what you want it to do.
You know, every time I get into the cockpit of an airplane and buckle up for a flight, I still feel that same thrill of expectation that I felt on my first flying lesson. That's one of the wonderful things about flying. It gives you a sense of excitement that stays with you through the years. Now, the first thing you and I need to do is make sure our seats are adjusted and our belts are adjusted so that we can properly reach the controls, and each of us can do that, so we're in good shape. Notice there's two doors. To get out of the door, all you have to do is raise this lever. To get out of your seatbelt, just raise the lever on your seatbelt. Now, I'm going to go through the checklist, and you follow me through. Okay, before starting engine, pre-flight inspection is complete. Passenger briefing is complete. Okay, now we're ready to start the engine. Clear. All right, we're ready to taxi. I'll get the airplane started, and when we get on a straight taxiway, I'll hand it off to you. A little power to get going here. It's really pretty easy to taxi an airplane. The trick is you do it with your feet. Step on the left rudder pedal and the airplane will turn to the left. Step on the right rudder pedal and the airplane will turn to the right. Now, the thing that really troubles people about this is the wheel doesn't have anything to do with it. You can move the wheel anywhere you want and it doesn't have any effect on the steering. One other surprise about taxiing an airplane is the brakes. The brakes are over the top of the rudder pedal. Step over the top and press on the top of the right pedal and you get right brake. Press on the top of the left pedal and you get left brake. Press on the top of both of them and you get both wheels. Okay, I'll maneuver us into the run-up area and we can go through the checklist together. Okay, before takeoff checklist, parking brake, set. Passenger seat backs secure in the upright position. Okay, we're cleared for takeoff, so I'm going to check for traffic on final to make sure we don't pull in front of somebody. Okay, now I'm going to do this takeoff. You can follow through lightly if you want with your hands and feet on the controls, and I'll tell you what I'm doing so you can feel what's happening here. Okay, we're in position. I'm going to smoothly add power to full throttle. quick check of oil pressure and RPM. Everything looks good. Now we steer with our feet, so we're still doing that, steering with the feet. And as the controls become effective, I add a little back pressure on the control wheel and establish the aircraft in a climb attitude. And the aircraft will fly itself off the ground, and we are airborne.
We were airborne.
That's it. Okay. I'll go to the bathroom. All done?
But yeah, it's just, Bill already knows about it. Bill's stuff.
Use the bathroom.
Good.
More sweater.
So when's the last time you were actually piloting command?
What's that?
When was the last time you were piloting command?
I have my logbook with me. I was looking at it, 1971.
Wow.
I had about 178 hours before I quit. Flew all over to California and all over the West, all over here. Was a partner in a Beechcraft Musketeer back in the 1970s with 3 other guys.
Was that a multi?
No, it was a single engine.
Cool. Well, that must have been fun times.
Oh yeah, it was great. I loved it.
Alright, so let's check out the classroom and the simulator, so follow me. This is our classroom. Hi guys. They're in our hangars. So we have a ground school here. This is also where you'll be debriefing with your instructor. You'll kind of go over what you did in the lesson, what you did so well, what you didn't do so well. And then we have some teaching aids up here. You can kind of take a look. We have one for the runway markings. Very important to know because you can kind of, it's very important to know how long the runway is and you want to know where you're going to land so you don't use up all the runway. So it's very important to know the lengths. And then that one over there, the big purple chart, that's for all the airspace we have here. So this area, Southern California, is very, very busy. Busiest airspace in the whole world. So, because we have LAX here, we have John Wayne, we have Long Beach, we have so many airplanes flying. And it's all divided up into different airspace. So we have Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo airspace, and Golf. So we're in Delta airspace. So that just means it's controlled. So you have to, that's why you have to get clearance to take off and land. LAX, Los Angeles, is Bravo. So you can't even get into that airspace without getting prior clearances. So, and you can't get in there otherwise. So basically they want to separate us small guys from the big jets. So that's why learning to fly here is invaluable. Because you learn so much, you learn so much about navigating around airspace. So it really is an awesome place to learn. So let's check out the sim.
I believe it's either south or southeast Houston near Pasadena.
So this is the sim room. We call it the cave. It's so dark in here. This is the G1000 or Pride and Joy. This sim is awesome because this is exactly how it looks on the airplane. You have your 2 screens here, you have your throttle, your mixture, you have your control wheel, you have the rudder pedals down there, and then your brakes on the top. And then you have an instructor computer here, so your instructor can actually put you in different weather conditions like crazy winds or low clouds, and you'll have to learn how to navigate through that. So it's great practice because you can practice that in here, so if it happens to you in real life in the airplane, you'll know what to do. And then we have the Frasclin 32P behind us. So that's the analog gauge cockpit. So you can kind of see how it's very, oh, I guess one of the lights went out. But yeah, it's old school. But if you know how to fly these, you can fly anything. And it's like I was saying before, it's a great cost saver. So, you have any questions? All right. Well, all right. I'm gonna get the headsets. You want to follow me?
Okay.
Well, actually, we'll take a look at the pilot supply shop, and then I'll get you your headsets, and then we'll get a picture of you, and then you'll be up. So this is the pilot supply shop. these are all the charts we have. So this shows all of the airspace I was talking about. The Alpha Bravo Delta Charlie and Echo Golf. So we have terminal charts and then sectional charts. The terminal charts show everything in more detail. But they only have terminal charts for busy airspace areas like Los Angeles or Las Vegas. So they don't make it for every region. Actually, most places only have a sectional. And then these are the books I was telling you about that help you pass your written. This one right here has all the questions they could possibly ask you on the test. So if you go through this book, and it's not that thick, you can go through it in probably a couple weeks if you spend a lot of time on it, you're guaranteed at least 70. So it's really not that hard. It's just a daunting thing because, you have to take a test and you're all alone, but if you practice, it's a piece of cake. So we have the private oral exam guide here. This is kind of how you get ready for your check ride. And then this is for the flying part of your check ride. Your check ride is the final test you take to get your private pilot license. 2 hours on the ground, 2 hours in the air. So once you pass that, you're officially a private pilot. So today you're on step 1. Yep. So you excited to fly in the left seat?
Yeah.
Here's Matt. He's your instructor.
Hi. What's up? What's your name? Robert. Robert, nice to meet you.
Hi, Matt. I'm Steve.
Hi, Steve. Nice to meet you.
Good to see you, Matt.
Do you have license?
I have one out there. You guys both going?
Yeah.
Okay, so we just need one. I already have one out there.
Okay.
I'll give this one to you. The one's already in the pilot seat. So are you just doing this for fun, or you?
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Just have you been in a small plane before?
I've done it once before.
All right, cool. I actually just went out. We're gonna make a left turn after we take off, and we'll go towards Long Beach over the water. We'll head back.
Sounds good.
All right.
It's a great one.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
You'll have a lot of fun, yeah.
Do you guys want a water?
No, I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
Clean my glasses off here. Yeah, I was just up. It's actually really smooth up there right now. So
It's good.
the first 1,000 feet or so is always just a little bumpy, just because of the ground heating the air up. But once we go above about 1,500 feet, it smooths out pretty good.
Cool.
Alrighty. So we're gonna be in the round dial gauge today, 172. We have the two different types, are the round dial and the G1000 in the video you saw. Yeah. Pretty much all brand new airplanes are being built with G1000. Everything's just digitalized. But we are actually doing the round dial. Okay, so we'll get that engine started so it cools down a little bit. Alright, before we start, passenger brief's been completed. Seats belts, doors are all locked. And to swing your seat forward, you just pull that lever up and just pull yourself forward just so you can push both the rudder pedals comfortably and reach the controls and feel nice. Beautiful. Alright. Circuit breakers are all in and locked. Our beacon light's on. Fuel selector valve is going to be on both. Just shut up. Throttle's going to crack that a little bit. Mixture's out. Prop area is clear. Master switch is going to go on. We're a little hot. So I'm just going to go ahead and, ooh, that is a hot key. Sitting on the dash, very, very hot. Ooh, that's hot. Clear. Prop area is clear. Alright, took me a little bit of fuel in there, so we'll prime it. Clear. keys out, master switch off, fuel selector valve on left. Alrighty. Doesn't it get really, really hot when that engine stops turning?
Yeah.
Heats up like 30 degrees. I think when people were asking me when I was learning how to fly, I used to say the hardest thing, at first I used to say the hardest thing was landing, crosswind landing, but it really is air traffic control.
Yeah.
You know, talking to air traffic control.
Much more involved than when I was here and doing it.
You know, it's hard, and you know, I kind of got the hang of it now, but it's just every controller is different. You can talk to the same, you can go to the same airport in one day. Different controllers will say different things. For the most part, the phraseology is the same, but you know, it's challenging. It really is. We'll go cruise inside here.
Okay.
Wow, it feels good.
Yeah, it does.
So flight time today was 0.5, so it's a half hour.
It's blue.
That's okay. So, you don't have a logbook, do you?
No.
Okay, so I'm just gonna write this in on here and sign it. So this never expires. So when you do get a logbook, just bring this back to me, and I can just transfer it over for you. So it does count as flight time, and today was basically climbs, turns, descents, navigation, things like that. And that for the first couple lessons, that's what we really focus on, just flying the airplane. And then from there, we do different maneuvers and whatnot. Any questions, Robert?
That's it.
Cool. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Very cool. Pleasure to meet you as well.
You too, man.
Thanks for coming along today. You guys did fantastic, and good job in the back seat, not getting sick. Sometimes
No
the
problem.
back seat messes people up for some
Yeah.
reason, but you've already,
Old-time pilot.
yep, you've already had the experience there. So, all right, gentlemen, I'm gonna go clean the airplane up. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I'll give you my card if you wanted to do another flight.
Great.
My email's on there and cell phone as well.
Okay, thanks a
All right,
lot.
guys, take care. Nice to meet you.